All right, let's talk about one of the biggest names in personal finance, Ramit Sethi. Today, we're going to break down his classic book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and pull out 5 key takeaways. And let me tell you, these ideas could completely change the way you look at money. So let's just dive right in.
So you know the classic advice, right? To get rich, you got to skip that $3 latte. You've heard it 1,000 times. Pinch every penny, feel guilty about every tiny little purchase.
But what if that's all just noise? What if focusing on those tiny things is actually holding you back? Ramit Sethi says that's not where the battle is won at all. In fact, it's a total distraction from what really matters.
And this quote right here, this is the whole mindset shift. Being rich isn't some magical thing that only happens to lottery winners or Wall Street geniuses. No, it's a system. It's a skill you can learn. And it starts with believing that, yeah, you can do it too.
Okay, so if it's not about luck, where do you even start? Well, the first step has nothing to do with numbers or spreadsheets. It has everything to do with you.
So takeaway number 1 is all about redefining what a rich life even means. And spoiler alert, it's not just about having a pile of money. It's about designing the life you actually want to live.
This is all about moving from what he calls mindless spending, buying stuff just because your neighbor did, to conscious spending. This is where the magic happens. You spend extravagantly, unapologetically on the things you absolutely love, and you are ruthless about cutting costs on everything else. Okay, check out this classic example from the book. There's this woman, Mary. She makes 50 grand a year and spends 6,000 of that on designer shoes. Now, your first reaction is probably, that's insane. How is that even possible? Well, here's the thing. Mary is a master of conscious spending. She doesn't care about a fancy apartment, so she gets a roommate. She doesn't need a car, so she takes the bus. See what she's doing? She is saying no to the things she doesn't value so she can scream yes to what she loves. That is her rich life.
All right, on to our second big idea, and this one's a biggie. It's about the urgency of starting. I don't mean next week, I don't mean after your next paycheck, I mean right now, today.
So many of us get totally paralyzed trying to find the perfect investment or the perfect savings account. Ramit has a name for this. It's the 85% solution. The idea is so simple but so powerful. It is way, way better to just get started and be 85% of the way there than to wait around forever trying to find that perfect 100% plan that you'll never actually start. Seriously, you lose so much more from doing nothing than you do from a good enough decision.
Look, you've probably heard this before, but it is so true. You can't go back in time. Maybe you wish you'd started investing years ago. Fine, but you can't change that. The only thing you can control is what you do right now. Starting today, even with a tiny amount, builds the habit that will make all the difference down the road.
And that brings us perfectly to our third point, knowing where to put your energy. It's time to stop getting bogged down in the tiny details and start focusing on the things that actually move the needle.
This stuff, this is the noise. Clipping coupons, agonizing over lattes, spending hours trying to find an account with a 0.1% better interest rate. It all feels productive, but honestly, it's a waste of your precious time and mental energy for almost zero return.
Instead, you got to shift your focus away from all that small stuff and onto what Ramit calls the big wins. Yeah, these are the big dominoes. Think about it. That 401k match your employer offers, that's literally free money. A 100% return on your investment, guaranteed. And negotiating just one $5,000 raise, that single conversation is worth more than a lifetime of saying no to coffee. Get just a handful of these big wins right, and trust me, you can buy all the lattes you could ever want.
So if willpower isn't the answer, how do you make sure you're hitting these big wins consistently? Well, that is takeaway number 4. You don't rely on discipline. You build a system that runs on autopilot.
It all starts with the conscious spending plan. Just look at these numbers. This is a rough guide for where your take-home pay should go. And notice that big slice for guilt-free spending? This system isn't about restriction. It's about designing your spending ahead of time so you know exactly what you have for the fun stuff.
And here's how you actually make it happen, step by step. So, your paycheck lands in your checking account. Think of this as your central station. Then, boom, before you can even touch it, automatic transfers shoot money off to your retirement account, your savings, and your investments. You pay your future self first. It's brilliant because you never even see that money, so you don't miss it. And the best part, whatever's left over, that's yours. For bills, for fun, for whatever you want, and you can spend it 100% guilt-free.
Okay, that automatic transfer to your investments is what will really build your wealth over the long haul. And that brings us to our final, crucial takeaway. You have to make investing simple.
For most people, this is the way to go. Level 3, the easiest option, target date funds. This is the ultimate set it and forget it solution. You literally just pick one fund based on the year you think you might retire, like a 2060 fund, and that's it. It does everything for you, diversifies, rebalances, all on its own.
Now, if you want to be a little more hands-on, you can go to level 2, index funds. This is still an amazing option. You might have to pick 2 or 3 different low-cost funds to build your own portfolio, but it's still incredibly simple and effective for long-term growth.
And then, all the way at the bottom, the hardest level, is picking individual stocks. This is what everybody on TV talks about, but it's also the highest risk and takes the most effort. Honestly, for almost everyone, the time you'd spend trying to beat the market here is so much better spent on a big win, like getting a raise.
So, there you have it. The path is actually pretty clear. It's not about being cheap, it's about being conscious. It's not about willpower, it's about automation. Your rich life, whatever that looks like for you, is totally within reach. So the only question that's really left is, what's the one big win you're going to tackle, starting today?